Welcome to On the Chain. We've got an amazing show for you guys tonight. Now, Ripple just pushed another amazing major update on the RLUSD. It's efficient, it's programmable, it's built for 24/7 global movement. Chip, I'm impressed with everything these guys are doing. Stablecoins are evolving so fast right now. The RLUSD, Ripple positioning the RLUSD right at the center of Main Street finance. It's exciting stuff. Back in Washington, President Trump is demanding real crypto clarity. It's about time. We need it. The Clarity Act, well, as typical, stuck. Cynthia Lummis, that rhymes with hummus, right? Hummus, is under fire. And the political urgency around digital assets just hit a new gear, all-time high.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in Europe, the situation is spiraling. We're going to go through some. I saw Sir John's post over there about the where he's located. We'll get into that a little bit. But the EU president Ursula von der Leyen claims that the EU protects freedom of speech. We're going to unpack that. While police arrest the protester basically right in front of when she's actually saying it at that moment. Also, Elon Musk personally fined, and this is personal, this is not business related, but he's personally fined under the Digital Services Act. X goes ahead and shuts down the EU's ad account. The censorship crackdown accelerates, and Musk signals he's ready to retaliate.
I love the retaliation. And that's not all. JD Vance actually drops a wild Oval Office story. We're going to get into that. Tom Emmer unleashing on Tim Walz. Well, it's good to go. You need more unleashing on Tim Walz. Dearborn, that's been in the news quite a bit, and it's becoming a national flashpoint. We got to talk about what's going on there. Sadiq Khan from way over there, over in London, stumbles through a Christmas Carol event, and it could be a little bit embarrassing for him. Europe, forced migration pact. This is really bad. It's triggering a massive pushback across the continent. I don't know how they're coming up with this, but they're going to force all EU nations to accept these migrants.
Yeah, and then we got, if you think about everything, we'll wrap it up. Crypto, we got political pressure rising. Europe, basically it's in turmoil. It's fun to watch these people. I will just say this, Jeff, there's a reason they got steamrolled in World War II. And good to see that not much has changed. Musk is hitting back hard, and we're going to break it all down. So welcome to On the Chain. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome, everybody. Everybody here. Who's here? Is everybody here? Everybody's pretty much here. You guys here? Everybody's here.
Look at that. I finally got a notification. Let's fucking go. That's right.
This is good. We had two people checking with notifications because I also saw, let's see, Art also said he was notified. Whoa, what's going on, people? Is the algorithm listening to us? I don't know. What's going on? We got two notifications? Well,
that's awesome.
I just checked my phone, Jeff.
And you got
check it again. Zero notification.
I got it.
Did you?
Yeah, I got it. I did.
I don't have it. Oh, wait a minute. I did get it. What is going on, Jeff? I never get the. I got it. Whoa. Hey now. Greetings from Belgium, everyone. Whole world is rigged. I believe that 100%. Tax refunds coming. OMG. I love Trump so much. Visual Vendetta says if Trump gets rid of income tax, I might start believing he's our savior. Sir John says, hi all from the Union of the Enslaved, the Silenced, and the Unfree. Oh, are you from the European Union? Nice to meet you. And we're also going to jump into this too. This is my flag. If I see one more of those posts, I engaged with two people and set them straight. Basically punched them in the face several times. Had to, because they're just annoying as hell. Ray Musk coming to us from New Zealand. Of course, we have Jim D is in here, and everybody else is popping on. Art on the Lake. All the usuals. Cynthia One, hello. And Poker Magic Mope is in, and yeah. There we go. Orwell finally got a notification. Finally. Do I love that? I can't believe two people talked about their notifications. Hello. Cynthia, hello. That's amazing. Good stuff. Well, let's start it off with this Ripple. Ripple posted this video to their X feed. So let's listen in here.
At BCG, we're super optimistic when it comes to stablecoins. By 2030, we estimated and expect that 2.5 to 3 trillion of US dollar will be in stablecoins.
Stablecoins are having a moment, and Ripple's RLUSD is having a moment. We believe those issuers that have the most enterprise-grade focus on regulation, compliance, and transparency will be those that prevail.
There you have it. Stablecoins were like the big thing. Remember, like stablecoins a couple years ago, everyone's like, no one's really talking about it. Then before you know it, then they went ahead and passed the stablecoin legislation. So it's incredible to see all this stuff going down, man. There's another video that I have here. I'm going to have to share my screen. That was also posted to the Ripple account. I think that was just an excerpt of it, if I'm not 100% sure, but let me see. All right, Jeff, well, tell me if you hear sound here, because I'm going to, this is on Ripple's YouTube channel. So let's see. Let me know if you hear something here.
Coins getting a lot of attention.
Yeah. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I'm waiting for you to tell me yes, so I can go and move on with, yeah.
Stablecoins
Yes.
attention lately.
US Congress has passed the first federal legislation to regulate stablecoins.
This is simply taking our payment system into the 21st century.
What's next? I mean, if you think about the next forefront of stablecoins,
I think the whole market's going to grow dramatically this year.
I think this is big.
Stablecoins are reinventing finance.
Interested in stablecoins are clear regulations on paving the way.
Stablecoin institutional adoption.
Stablecoins, a global transformation in finance.
Stablecoins that we see now are the long-awaited revolution in payments and in the financial industry.
The Genius Act has been the biggest compliance milestone that opened the gates for big institutions to use stablecoins.
It has been a huge paradigm shift, which will create clarity and certainty for the industry.
As soon as new regulations were coming in, we saw huge adoption.
We're seeing institutions globally really participate in the stablecoin ecosystem and really wanting to get a piece of it.
Why is that? Because it also brings some clarity and some certainty to use this new type of payment and services.
Clarity
There's
Act.
payments, there's trade finance, and a wide variety of use cases.
The next phase of adoption will be driven by utility and enterprise use cases. Institutions care about transparent, trusted, well-funded assets that they can utilize in their systems.
So we've been seeing a lot of institutions ask about RLUSD. And I think one of the reasons is the DFS regulation, the track record Ripple has had over the years.
RLUSD, we believe, is the most trusted regulated stablecoin in the market. We're seeing banks, we're seeing corporates, retailers coming into the flow. All of that demand is really coming around the operational efficiency of using programmable money 24/7.
So we at BCG, we're super optimistic when it comes to stablecoins. By 2030, we estimated and expect that 2.5 to 3 trillion of US dollar will be in stablecoins.
We see a world where stablecoins really act as that fundamental
It'll be
bridge and
bigger.
unit of account. So it's going to be a very exciting time in the stablecoin landscape.
That was a cool long form video that they put up.
Yeah.
On their YouTuber channel, YouTubes. So let's what else we have here? If the
Good, man.
BIS,
I'm really excited to see it.
if the BIS, Steve Willett says that the BIS makes an announcement, I think Jeff should get his leader hosen out and give Chip a dance. No, that's messed up. The BIS.
Oh no,
First of all, so let's talk about the BIS. Not recognized here on the chain, okay? Useless people, useless organization. All of those three-letter agencies that are trying to control everybody, they want to create global citizens.
And
They
that's-
basically want to dumb you down, and they want you to obey, and they want you to submit. That's what they want you to do. And they just need to
Yes.
be steamrolled. They just need to be rolled, every one of them.
to get rid of them. Or what? Don't you think? the
Well,
rat.
the rat dance. It's
I
better
like
than
that.
the rat dance.
That's right. Orwell saying, don't you think the XRPO would handle this new deposit account from newborns escrow time, unlock, and it'd be awesome. Everything that they're talking about, with the newborn, they want to put an investment account together. It would be great to have full transparency, easy access to it. The escrow, I love the whole idea, put specific escrow unlock time on it, programmable metrics, because who knows, once it goes into that, who's going to be the overseer of it? Is there, what element of government does it become, like a social security oversight? You think about your growth of the money that goes into social security, and what does it grow at, Chip? Social security, like 3%,
It's even lower. It
2.5%,
might even be lower than that. It's really
1.5%. I mean, it's a
bad.
ridiculous number. If you had the money yourself, you'd be able to invest it in private, at a much higher return rate. So the question is, and I'm sure Trump, trying to figure all these details out, they're going to put that $1,000 in. At what rate is it going to be grown at? Is it private option? Is it locked where, that's it? At a certain age, it's going to be released, because the
Should be locked till
objective is,
18.
yeah, 18, 21. 18 would be a nice number, but 18 and 21, start building an education account or invest in, if you're going to go into the trades or you're going to start a business or whatever it might be.
And you can contribute to it, I believe, too, right? Over time, like you can actually put money into type of thing.
I believe so. I have to dig into that a little further, but as a kid, it would be nice from infant, to say, okay, here's how much money you can put: $5 a week, $10 a week, and then let it keep growing, and let even that number, there's so many great ideas behind it that gets people in that mode of not just, squirreling money away from a social security perspective, where it's taken out of my check. No one thinks about it. Right. And it just, sight unseen, and then the government manipulates that fund, because the social security funds aren't unique to just going to your investment. It just gets dumped into some slush fund, and that's why you don't get the return. There is no coverage for social security right now. It's basically, it's a dead product, unfortunately.
And another thing too is the Michael and Susan Dell, Michael Dell of Dell Computers. They recently announced that they're going to be giving $6.25 billion to the Trump accounts, and these are these savings accounts we're talking about, providing $250 seed money for investment accounts for millions of kids 10 and under that aren't covered by initial government funding. And the whole idea is to boost financial literacy. And if you think about it, from the beginning of time, the government's really never done, not that it's their duty to do this, but there's never been any kind of financial sort of information, even in like school, like even universities, unless you're taking something specifically finance, but a lot of strategies lost, right? A lot of people are way more educated in this crypto space, not only on crypto, but stocks and everything, because they had to do their own research. It wasn't like something, sometimes you can take trainings, you can take classes on it, but largely kids come out of university just inept. I know I did. I know that when it was my time, like just how to handle money, how to make investments, how to grow your money, how to be a slave. That's pretty simple on how to do that. They teach you how to be a slave and how to follow directions, and then how to, that's something that you're really, you can get really proficient at. Until the 16th Amendment is repealed. Love Trump. Won't believe it until it's in my hand. Well, the funny thing, too, is they were calling it a stimulus. It's not a stimulus. Stimulus is when the government prints money and gives it away. This is money coming in. So what does this new money coming in do? Well, it gets the people in the Federal Reserve very nervous, because Federal Reserve is in charge of the money, right? Third-party entity that's going to charge you interest. Well, guess what? If you create a brand new supply of money coming in, which is how the U.S. government was funded, it's funny, you really don't need the Federal Reserve anymore. And aside from whatever the debt is, that can be maintained, but they need to be. I think Trump is really gearing up to remove the Federal Reserve, quite honestly. But these
the IRS
are going to be big. IRS is going to go. You can have the exterior IRS, which is what he'll have. But the whole idea is the government doesn't make any money; it just takes, right, or it prints and it goes into debt. However, the tariffs are a game changer for that, so that's pretty cool.
Mm.
It's a pretty cool thing. So we talked
all of this.
Jeff, you had mentioned the whole idea in the intro, talking about the Clarity Act. This whole thing of like it gets passed in the House in July, and of course the Senate is just inefficient. The Senate is just garbage people. So you have the most rhinos in there, Republicans in name only. And someone did a nice meme video that made a American football analogy out of it. I thought it was pretty good, talking about how it's going.
President Trump called the play. The industry set the formation. The House put it in motion. But Senator Cynthia Lummis fumbled the ball. Instead of following the lead of President Trump and bipartisan support in the House and Senate, Lummis decided to call an audible, surprising policymakers and spooking crypto investors. What was the result? A lost opportunity right at the goal line. When it comes to legislating on President Trump's biggest priorities, Senator Lummis is a liability and should be benched. Tell Senator Lummis to get on the right play for Wyoming and America. Pass the Clarity Act now.
Gotta love all these things that AI videos are opening to be able to illustrate and do some fun things with, Right. So yeah, just a complete asshat for sure. So many companies giving billions to Trump. When Biden or Obama was president, did companies do the same? No, they didn't do it. Although they were just taking. So Steve Willett said he's dollar cost averaging, so one day he can afford a tank, just in case. Well, here in the U.S., that's what it says, right, to bear arms, and the tank surely is arms. So you'd be able to have one there. I don't know if they're going to let you have one over there or down under. That might be a different thing. Gold will add the Fed. That's just 100% right, man. It will 100% add the. You know what you're talking about, or well, he knows this shit there. Let's see what the vault. What was the deal with the vault? Do you remember Elon Musk and Trump coming out? We're going to audit the Fort Knox, and we're gonna go there next week, and like nothing ever happened with that. Like, where's the gold? Did they figure out the gold wasn't there? Like, where's the gold?
Might not be there. Maybe it was.
Who knows? She's a BTC show. She doesn't really even understand crypto. Even Bitcoin, she doesn't understand. She talks around stuff. Her and that other nut job from the Democrat that they try to sponsor that bill. She doesn't really know what she's doing, and she doesn't have a staff that's that well informed either. Alaska rep has Lummis by the balls. Okay, who's that? Who's the Alaska rep? Anyway, so here is Ursula von der Leyen, which she's a self-appointed powerful person in the EU, but unelected. Okay, but here she is talking about how amazing, you're lucky you live in the EU because we protect free speech as somebody's getting arrested.
Thank you very much for receiving me. And first of all, to those who scream and yell here so loud, they can be happy that they are in a free country like Finland, where the free speech is a right, where they have not any restrictions. If they would be in Moscow, they would be in jail in 2 minutes.
Now, while they're doing that, the camera pans around to the cop that basically walks them out of there. But this is it. She's like, you'd be arrested in 2 minutes. 2 minutes? This guy got arrested at 20. How much are we in here? What are we in here? This 27 seconds. Forget about 2 minutes. What is she out of her mind? What the hell's wrong with this? This is how feckless. And I'm not talking about people like Sir John. I'm not talking about his countrymen, the fighters. I'm not talking about a lot of these other people who are not down with this whole program. I'm talking about the people who are the lefties, the nut jobs. They're just all in. They got zero reasoning power. They've got zero ability to think and construct anything themselves.
Restrictions. If they would be in Moscow, they would be in jail in 2 minutes. Thank God we have democracy.
That's rich, Jeff.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
I would like to say this is AI video, but it's not AI video. I mean, it's just unbelievable that this is what's going on. I don't know. Maybe it is AI video. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell, but how rich is that? The fact that she's out there. You would be in jail in 2 minutes. Unbelievable. And then, it's funny because David Schwartz even commented on this. He's getting very political lately, which and I've actually been agreeing with him, which is sometimes an unusual thing. Sometimes I don't, but here he is. He says, EU president says protesters lucky to be in the EU where protesting is allowed while protesters being arrested. That is the great. And I said, hey, how lucky. Bill Morgan said the hypocrisy of modern politicians is breathtaking. If the ancient Greek political satirists came from the past to live today, they would think someone put on a feast for them. There's so much material to work with. Flair says the Ministry of Truth, of course, from 1984. What a crazy thing to say when your president wants to hang and kill people who are against him, has ICE idiots arresting anyone that's not white, stops freedom of press. First of all, none of that stuff's happened, but that's because these people are so down on the here's XRP Deutschland. He's not arrested. Gaslighting the EU is the only instance who will protect us from the Russians. Now is crazy, David. Consider he is not arrested. He's not arrested. The police just walked over there and casually just, consider 80% of these replies being Russian trolls. I'm a Russian troll. We know Flair Oracle, Russian troll. Bill Morgan, I know. Met him in person, Russian troll. XRP Deutschland. It's always sad when you see a lefty who's into crypto. They want to control every... XRP Deutschland. Is it really free speech when you retweet this one-year-old video that all goes pushed to your attention right after he started a war on the EU? Now that's some top-tier gaslighting. So we're being gaslighted by our government. Yeah, no big. Same thing that happens time and time and time again. JD Vance said that he said rumors are swirling the EU Commission will fine Axe hundreds of millions of dollars for not engaging in censorship. The EU should be supporting free speech, not attacking companies over garbage. And then Helmut Brandstatter, MDEP, came in and said, "A message." This is how I love these guys. They talk real tough, but you just could roll them. Like you could just go like, "Whoo," and they'll like fall over on themselves. A message to Piggyland: there is no censorship in Europe, and everybody has to follow our rules. Oh, is that how it works? As long as you're following the rules, there is no censorship. But if you're not following the rules, sad, Jeff. This is what this is so unbelievable that these people actually believe this shit. No censorship in Europe, and everybody has to follow our rules. Trump fights the free press. Trump pushes against the press. Of course he should. They're fake news. They make up stories all the time, suing newspapers and TV stations and winning because they're false stories. You don't win these. You don't win these suits if they're not fake. So leave us alone. This is what he said to JD Vance. Well, the Undersecretary of State from the State Department, Sarah B. Rogers, she had something to say about all this, and so she chimed in herself, and she wanted to leave a message. So let me get this video queued up for you here. Let's see. Do I have her video? Yeah, here she is. The Undersecretary of State. Here she is.
I got off my European train and checked into my European hotel and noticed that a member of European Parliament called Helmut Brandstatter tweeted, quote, "There's no censorship in Europe. Everyone has to follow our rules." Well, I'm traveling here on a diplomatic passport, so I thought I'd take this opportunity to say a few things that ordinary Europeans can't by revisiting some remarks for which people in Europe and also the UK have been investigated or arrested or jailed by their governments over the past few years. So, as I tweeted a few moments ago, a German woman notoriously received a harsher jail sentence than a convicted rapist after the woman called the rapist, quote, "a disgraceful pig." This was after he participated, along with several other disgraceful pigs, in the gang rape of a 15-year-old girl in a public park. Similarly, a British woman was dragged out of her bath by 11 police officers after she referred in a private text message to a man who allegedly violently assaulted her as, quote, "a faggot." And victims of violent crime aren't the only people who lack free speech rights in Europe. In Sweden, an activist called Rasmus Paludan was jailed after he burned a Quran and referred to Islam as gay Islam. Finally, in Germany, a man faced a criminal investigation for referring to Green Party leader Ricarda Lang as, quote, "fat." There are many more. I could go on, but it's important to note that the European censorship bureaucracy often postures as populist, fighting against big tech. Yet none of the people I listed is a large tech company. These are ordinary Europeans and one Brit who were punished by their governments for saying what they thought was true, or just what they felt like saying. In a free society, that shouldn't happen. So which is it, Mr. Brandstatter? Is there no censorship in Europe, or do we all have to follow your rules?
Oh, punched in the face. I love how she prefaced it with, "I'm traveling on a diplomatic passport, so I can actually say this stuff, and you can't detain me because regular Europeans cannot say it." But
It's so crazy. It's crazy what's going on over there. I mean, it's kind of what's interesting. I was talking about it yesterday with somebody, and there's a terminology that guy Saad, he posts all
Outside, yeah.
sorts of stuff. Yeah, so he had a specific terminology for it. But there was a book written by Paul Eiderberg years ago, and it was called Demophrenia, and it's the schizophrenic nature of democracy, where they go so far in supporting their freedom or whatever that it actually flips over backwards on themselves, and we're seeing it kind of unfold right now
Right
because
now, yeah.
and we saw it in real time as that woman was up there talking, and she's saying, the freedom of speech. Meanwhile, they're arresting somebody in front of her. It's
Ursula
like you have
von
all
der
these
Leyen.
freedom, but you have freedoms for all these, illegals that are coming in and abusing their people and abusing their system, and yet somehow that's okay while they're imprisoning their own people for speaking out, and they have no freedoms anymore. And it's almost, I don't even want to say it's expected out of Europe at this point, but it kind of is because they have kind of a history of this happening. You just go to World War II, and you can probably go over the years where are they really free in Europe? Do they really believe in freedoms? Are they really going to fight back or for freedom? We ended up in the United States, and the U.S. Came into being mainly because people were escaping that kind of persecution, and it was religious persecution, and then it was other freedoms, as to why this country became what it is from Europe, right? Fleeing Europe, and we have all the colonialists that came from Spain and France and Germany and England. Obviously, that was the biggest confrontation. And look where we are today. These guys, they just can't get away from themselves. They're tripping over themselves. Like they're running around with their, shoelaces tied together over in Europe. It's just, the people have to rise up. How much longer can they take it where they're going to allow all these illegals to come flooding in their countries and basically take over, everything. Every square inch is being taken over, and you have no rights as a citizen. That it just doesn't make any sense to me. Everything's just so ass backwards over there.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And my favorite Dutch commentator here, Jeff, Eva Vlaanderen, she comes in and comments on this.
Leader of them all, the president.
Of course, she's going to single out Ursula von der Leyen.
Worst leader of them all, the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. America got 4 more years of Trump. We, here in Europe, got 5 more years of Ursula von der Leyen. The thing is, though, that no one ever voted for Ursula von der Leyen. No one ever voted for her, yet she is one of the most powerful people in Europe, and she's implementing some of the most destructive policies that our continent has ever seen. And last but not least, when are we ever going to see those text messages in which she closed a 35 billion euro deal with Albert Bourla, the CEO of Pfizer? Ursula von der Leyen thinks she is untouchable. She thinks she is above the law. But we are here today to remind her that she is not.
Fantastic.
That's it. It's time to take her down.
Yeah, this is it. Well, this is where, and Elon Musk was basically raging too, saying like, what, disband the EU. It's a complete waste of time and energy. Why would you give up your sovereignty to some shithole third-party people in Brussels? Sorry for mentioning Brussels to and there, because there's great people that hail from Brussels, right? In the chat, we have great people from Brussels that come to the show, but it's just, to me, it's a very weird thing. Here's another great take on it as well. I want to play this one.
After 250 years of freedom, unelected European bureaucrats are still trying to dictate what Americans can say. Back then, faraway powers taxed the paper we used to print the news. Now, European bureaucrats are fining the online platforms we use to share our opinions. The Digital Services Act empowers Europe to become the world's online speech police. All Americans need to understand the dangerous, far-reaching effects of this law. In 2022, the EU adopted the Digital Services Act, or DSA, with the stated intent of creating a safe online environment. But with its broad definitions and hefty penalties for noncompliance, it's clear that the DSA is about censorship, not safety. So what exactly is the DSA? In short, it's a digital censorship framework that gives an unaccountable bureaucracy sweeping power to silence speech around the world. The EU does this by essentially outsourcing content moderation duties to digital platforms by threatening them with crippling fines. Under the DSA, the EU will fine private global companies that operate right here in the US. Think Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X. Up to 6% of their global annual turnover every time they don't censor certain speech. And that speech is based on extremely vague terms like hate speech, misinformation, and online safety. On the flip side, there's no penalty for censoring too
In other words, you got to follow the rules, Jeff. Then you get free speech.
much speech. So corporations will be incentivized to err on the side of over-censoring, helping the EU clamp down on speech it doesn't like and moving the needle toward total narrative control. In other words, if you share something on Instagram that might break the rules somewhere in Europe, Meta will have to remove your post or face a fine of about $10 billion. That's billion with a B. This collusion between governments and private actors through the online platforms themselves creates a de facto global censorship rulebook that poses an existential threat to free speech in the digital public square. But don't just take our word for it, take Päivi's. Päivi Räsänen is a sitting Finnish parliamentarian, former government minister, a grandmother of 12, and a Christian. In 2019, Päivi posted a Bible verse on Twitter, simply sharing her deeply held faith-based views. Since then, she has faced 6 years of investigations and criminal prosecution for so-called hate speech. ADF International has coordinated.
Jeff. Meanwhile, you could post things from the Quran, which are kill you if you don't believe as I do, or tax the living crap out of someone, or beat your wife. Those are fine.
Her legal defense throughout, resulting in 2 acquittals, and her case is now pending before Finland's Supreme Court. Päivi was prosecuted under her country's national law for war crimes and crimes against humanity.
For posting a Bible verse.
Under the DSA, a similar brand of heavy-handed.
It's insane, Jeff, for posting a Bible verse. I mean,
the,
what the hell?
The Europeans are they've lost the narrative so much that they're politicians who, again, you know, it comes back to parliamentary form of government, which makes no sense. It's a broken form of government. You don't elect your representative. You're electing a party. The party dictates who gets put into office. And even then, you know, there's a lot of, in order to get the set number of seats, in order for you to win, there's coalitions formed, there's promises made, there's all sorts of backroom deals that are being waged. You know, it just, and here you go. You know, the other part of it is the Europeans, and it'd be good to hear from some of them, but I'm going to hold them to this, that they love monarchies. It's in their system. It's innate, almost in their DNA. They love the concept of being dictated to. That's what they were used to. They're accustomed to that. And so even, you know, and when you have that kind of mindset, it's kind of like baked into the generations. I think they're trying to break away from it, but yet they still, here they go again. You know, they're allowing it to happen once again. But I want to say that, you know, people in general love to be dictated to, you know, so even, you know, the globalists and the leftists in this country love the same concept. That's why they love socialism. They think they love communism. They love the top-down control. They don't want to actually be able to vote. They just want to be told what they can do and get free shit. The Europeans love free shit. You know, the one country that stands out is Germany. Germany is as close to the U.S. as you can get over in Europe, just based on, you know, functionality and business building and things like that. But it just, you know, I'm focusing only on a couple countries there. But if you think about like England, France, you know, Germany, but now, you know, getting into Eastern Europe, you know, maybe Poland is, you know, probably the one country that's standing up. I think Hungary, you know, some of the Eastern European countries from the Eastern European bloc are actually standing up against it. I think we're starting to see a complete shift within Europe. I mean, it's kind of interesting where, you know, the Eastern Bloc used to be socialist, communist, and then you had the West, but now you're getting a complete polar opposite. It's flipping right now. The narrative's changing.
It is, and Friday night, I think I mentioned this, Jeff, but it's kind of like, I guess, to hear it from somebody, you know, personally. But I was at my buddy's house, and this guy was there from Canada, and he was basically saying that I said, how is it up there? He goes, dude, it's so bad. It's so bad. And I said, he goes, I'm self-employed. I said, well, at least you got free healthcare. He goes, well, I'm going to tell you all the taxes I have to pay. Something else is 55%, then another 8% for this, another 10%. If I add it all up, it's almost 70%. 68% is what it costs me of every Canadian dollar that I earn, which isn't worth jack compared to a US dollar. He was down in the States doing some business, and he said, but the good news is that you know, his wife is dual citizenship. She's American, but his permit to be able to work here should be good by March, and then he's immigrating here. So he's like, I'm like, well, great, man. That's awesome. He told this funny story about he got together with an old friend. The old friends came in, you know, when he got in the truck from the airport, and he said, hey man, you packing? He's like, packing? I got my stuff with me. He's got married a Canadian, right? So he goes, and what he's asking him is, are you carrying a weapon? Are you carrying, a gun of some kind? Are you packing heat, right? Are you packing? He says, I got my stuff with me. No, you packing? You have a gun with you? He goes, just got off the airplane. Why do I have a gun with me? And he goes, okay, man, everyone that rides with me packs. Here you go. He reaches down, he throws him a 45. He goes, safety's on. Put that in your. We gotta go. We gotta go somewhere. Put that in your belt. And I was like, and he was like, okay. He goes, let me went to this area. It was a little bit on the shady side, a little bit of a bad part of town. He's like, dude, you okay? You know how to shoot that thing? He goes, yeah, I think so. He's like, I think so. He was like, yeah. So I thought that was a pretty funny story, but he just was talking about how really ridiculously bad it is, of how he hopes, he's from Alberta, he hopes that Alberta succeeds. And he was saying that how the funding has to be wrapped up. And he said that when he collects, he's got to collect the tax from his client, and then he's got to distribute it. He says, and I was going to say it, but he said, in essence, I'm a tax collector too. I have to collect the tax, then I got to redistribute the tax, and then Alberta has to redistribute all of money that they bring in from oil and shipping and stuff, have to do to the other provinces. So it's like this socialist system where they make a lot of money, but they got to share it with the rest of Canada. So he was going on about that, and it was just, and he said, I work with so many people that are brain dead. But let's listen to the rest of what she's saying here.
Viewpoint-based online content
knows what I'm talking about.
Can extend its reach far beyond Europe, and that should concern every defender of free speech. DSA doesn't stand for Digital Services Act. It stands for delete, silence, abolish. When unelected bureaucrats in Brussels can silence and suppress speech on a global scale, that's a problem. One of the hallmarks of a free and flourishing society is the ability to share differing ideas and worldviews, and to let people think and decide for themselves where they stand. The best response to contested speech is more speech, not less, not censorship. And that's not just an American value. It's a universal one.
Should be a universal one.
It should be. Well, that's the difference. The difference is here, it is a right. There, it's a privilege. And a parliamentary system, what you do, Jeff, is you make it up as you go along, and then use court cases to sort of dictate that. So if it went off the rails, you're screwed forever.
That's right. And here we are, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are going to be talking about restoring America's freedom and prosperity. We've got an amazing candidate running for Florida's 25th district, the same exact one that is currently occupied by Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Time for her to go. This is, his background in entrepreneurship, crypto and technology and things like that is just unmatched in the space. He could bring a lot, really great voice, powerful voice for crypto to Congress. But beyond that, just being, a solid self-made entrepreneur, he can do just a fantastic job. So we're all going to get to speak with him directly, and that's going to be Wednesday. So I sent the link out there, but if you go to our channel, go to On the Chain, you will be able to get click the notify me. So you make sure you get notified. It is posted. So if you don't get our notifications normally, you can even click that, get an extra notification. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be on time as long as all the audio, video, and everything checks out. And that will be with Michael Carbonera on Wednesday, 8 p.m.
Pro crypto
Eastern
as well.
Standard Time. Pro crypto, exactly. Now it is that time. It's 40 minutes in, and we got a new song for you guys. And so we will be giving away an ass kicker, this badass guy right here. So if you take a look at this guy, if you look at that artwork, you look at that sword, that shield, man, this is an ass kicker. And we're going to play the song, which is the lore of the ass kickers. So we're gonna back up. This is the lore of the ass kickers.
The lore.
The lore of the clan ass kickers. So get ready, because somebody good one, he did something a little, just pieced a whole bunch of these different videos together. Hopefully the flow is nice as expected, but the song is going to be kicking. So here we go. Let's get it going.
Sharpen your steel, steady your breath, call forth your Yeti and your Sama. Tonight, a warrior of Clan Askika walks into legend. They speak of him in snows, the one who faced the frostborn herd. Claws ripped, storms tore, yet he stood laughing at the dying tide. Blood on the snow, fire in his bones. Clan Askika claimed the field as their throne. Hear the old winds howl his name, a white-tried warrior forged in pain. Yeti, 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 Clan Askika, beasts flee the path. Yeti, 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 strike with the winter's wrath. When he charges, death clears him a path. Tear through their iron line. Feast on the fear they hide. Badass Yetis on the chase, on the chain. Brought to you by Badass3Coffee.com.
Wowza. Badass3.com. Man, he's good with that sword. Wow.
Yeah, he's kicking
Shoot
ass.
until right off with your leg, just like that. Guys, what do you make of Kevin O'Leary's comments? Look, I like Kevin O'Leary a lot. And when he said there's only two cryptos, BTC and ETH, and I saw a video today where he said it's ETH and Solana, and he understands. Listen, he knows they're bigger than that. He likes to get a rise out of people. He likes to be really, so I don't really take too much. He's not wrong saying there's two. If you're going to different investment, you're going to invest in two. Those are the two to invest in. That's the ones that make everyone a lot of money. But he also talked about utility, and what he's missing is a lot of these other cryptos actually have utility. He doesn't get deep enough into it. Surely he knows XRP and Solanas, and he knows Cardanos of the world. He knows. So, you know, I'd be a very sensational. So I don't sort of hold it against Ice Age. There you go.
Mark Smith said Trump said no capital gains tax on badass Yetis. Effective 1/1.
Very good. He's part of the VC pump crew. So, Jeff, just something we probably should just play this one video. There's something that happened 84 years ago today, December 7th, an attack on Pearl Harbor in the United States. Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. We had quite a few number of dead. I think it was 2,400 total died in that. So, I'm just going to play this short video.
December 7th, a day President Franklin D. Roosevelt said will live in infamy. A day that marks the deadliest attack against our Navy. The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor 84 years ago. An American tragedy that began taking shape weeks earlier when the Imperial Japanese Navy secretly maneuvered a 28-ship task force built around 6 aircraft carriers with over 400 aircraft to the waters northwest of Hawaii. The Japanese then launched 353 aircraft and 2 waves of airstrikes against U.S. installations on Oahu. The main target was the Pacific Fleet, but luckily none of the U.S. carriers were in port that morning. But attacks against the fleet and the airfields caused massive casualties. 2,403 American military and civilians were killed, of whom 2,008 were Navy and 109 Marines. 25 Navy ships were sunk or suffered damage. Of those, only 3 were total losses. The rest later repaired and returned to service. Aircraft losses across the Navy, Marine Corps, and Army Air Force totaled 169 destroyed and 159 damaged. Over the next 6 months, U.S. forces launched a variety of small attacks against advancing Japanese forces, including the Halsey Doolittle raid against Japan. Then, in May 1942, the Navy stopped Japanese forces in the South Pacific at Coral Sea, and in June sank 4 Japanese carriers at the Battle of Midway, all of which served as part of the attack force at Pearl Harbor. With that victory, the U.S. held the initiative, and through the next 6 months, shifted the balance of power in the Pacific. Once American sea power was fully mobilized, it proved decisive. Today, as we reflect upon a moment in time of our nation's history, one of the hardest truths is that behind every number is a name, a real American who stepped forward when their nation called and too often paid the ultimate price and left behind loved ones who mourned the unwritten chapters of their lives. Today's sailors and Marines continue to stand the watch, answer the call, and are prepared to give no less. As your Secretary of the Navy, I will never take that for granted. As we mark this solemn anniversary, remember the heroes of Pearl Harbor. Their courage, grit, and determination are not relics of the past. They live in you. Wherever you serve today, deployed overseas, on duty, in the field, or at home with your family, pause, remember Pearl Harbor, and carry that legacy forward. God bless the United States of America and the Navy and Marine Corps team that defends her.
For the Navy, there you go. 84 years, and insane it's been that long.
amazing.
But and I've always, since being a grade school kid, I've always remembered that December 7th. You know, it's, I don't know, it's kind of ingrained in you. You just know the day, in line with some more of the stuff that Elon was saying. So Ted Cruz said, you know, the European Commission's $140 million fine on acts as an abomination. It's an attack on a great American job creator, and it's an attack on the free speech of every American. Trump should impose sanctions until this travesty is reversed. Elon Musk went on to say that the EU imposed this crazy fine, not just on acts, but also on Elon personally, which is even more insane. Therefore, it would seem appropriate to apply a response not just to the EU, but also to individuals who took this action against him. And then we have Elon also said the EU should be abolished and sovereignty returned to the individual countries so the governments can better represent their people. Absolutely, 100%. That gets back to what Sir John was saying, right? I mean, in the beginning of all this, and then he said, "I mean it, no kidding." He's like, "I'm not messing around," and he's a powerful voice. So when he actually says something, it's pretty big. And what I'll tell you, what's really awkward was these people posting, "This is my flag," but they're not posting their flag. They're posting the EU flag, Jeff.
That's so stupid.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life, right? But
not their
Leon,
flag.
This is my flag. It stands for listen what it stands for: unity, and freedom, and peace. Who is fighting to keep the war going? Who, of all people, which countries? France, Germany, UK are fighting to keep the war alive and well between Ukraine and Russia. Democracy, sure, okay. Equality, civilization, diversity, rule of law, science, beauty, and strength. Oh,
yeah.
Marvin Bauman, this is our flag. He's posting the same stupid thing. This guy, Walker's like, too many words. This is my flag. It stands for freedom. There's nothing more to fight for.
That's all you need to know.
Too many words. This is my flag right here. There's nothing more important.
Look at that.
And
Bauman,
this guy says you stand for nothing. Exactly. You can't even define freedom. You don't even know who gave you that value in the first place.
Oh my God.
Really? So I said, the man who handed over his country's sovereignty to the EU, a bureaucracy run by unelected officials in Brussels, now claims the United States stands for nothing. Meanwhile, our Constitution was built to restrain government and empower the people, not the other way around. You represent the opposite world, a world where citizens answer to distant technocrats, and then you call it progress. We have freedom of speech as an inherent right. You treat speech like it's a privilege that can be granted or revoked depending on who's offended that week. We're not the same. It's not even close. You don't stand for anything because you already surrendered everything, including the ability to recognize what freedom even looks like.
Boom.
Punched right in the face.
That's nice.
I don't think he responded.
Pretty well explained. 100% spot on.
Oh boy, that bangs. Bingo. There we go.
That's it.
So everyone liked it, but you notice he didn't shine back.
Really
And
nice.
Billy from the UK liked it, pretty well explained, and yet Euro cucks are so delusional they think otherwise. Too much war propaganda. And then this one, Constance Stellesmuller, she posted, "This is my flag," right?
Yeah,
so I posted this. I said, posting the European flag and calling it my flag, have no idea how ridiculous this looks. You are profoundly waving the symbol of an institution that confiscated your country's sovereignty and then handed it to a group of unelected bureaucrats in Brussels. The national flag represents centuries of struggle, sacrifice, culture, identity, and self-determination. The EU flag represents none of that. It represents a political project that overrides your laws, dictates your regulations, and tells your government what they can and what they can't do. And so when you post the EU flag as my flag, you're basically saying that you're fine with someone else making the rules for your own country, which goes back to what you said, Jeff. They want to be ruled. Someone you cannot vote in or out, or someone who does not answer to you in any meaningful way. It's not a symbol of unity. It's a symbol of surrender. And celebrating it so enthusiastically is like bragging about giving away your house keys and then acting like the confused when someone else moves in. So
right.
There you go. That's what it actually is.
That's exactly what it is.
That's what it really is right there. And then I have another one here.
They're so brain dead.
They really are, Jeff. They're just I mean, they don't even make any sense. You don't even know who gave you that privilege. Yeah, it was given by God. Well, this one here is one of my favorite ones right here. This guy says, thanks to the EU, it's not a replacement, but their laws replace your laws. Their mosques replace your churches. Their people replace your people in your cities. Their baby names replace your children's name as number one. Your history is rewritten as their history. Diversity is pushed nearly every commercial ad and show. Schools replace European pride with shame and guilt. Your flags, European flags, are smeared as far right and racist. Your voice is silenced. You're jailed for speaking out. Your leaders are bought and blackmailed to go along with it. Rapes are covered up, and rapists are given lenient sentences unless they're white. And they're aching to send their own people to die in a war to protest Ukraine's borders while simultaneously refusing to protect their own borders. And now they even admit Europeans will be a minority in Europe within 25 to 75 years. Call it what it is.
Yeah.
In fact, it's a replacement. And this is what the flag really looks like.
That's exactly what it looks like.
There it is. You're basically giving it all up and surrender. Just paint those moons around it, and you got exactly a different flag. And that's really your flag. That's
They've
the
been
flag right there, Jeff.
They're allowing themselves to be conquered. It's pathetic.
But they are pretty pathetic when it comes down to it. And so here's here they posted this. European Commission said today we find X for non-compliance with transparency.
I think this good.
Transparency obligations under the DSA. We're holding X accountable for deceptive design of blue check marks, lack of transparency of its advertising repository, and failure to provide access to public data for researchers. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean failure to provide access to public data?
What data? Yeah.
Nikita Beer, you want to know who Nikita Beer is? Nikita Beer is a project manager. He's the guy that runs product over at X. He's also an advisor with Solana. He's a venture partner at Lightspeed. He's the ex-founder of the Gas App team, acquired by Discord. So this guy's not just some lightweight. He said the irony of your announcement: you logged into your dormant ad account to take advantage of an exploit in our ad composer to post a link that deceives user into thinking it's a video and to artificially increase its reach. As you may be aware, X believes everyone should have an equal voice on our platform. However, it seems you believe the rules should not apply to your account. Your ad account has been terminated.
It's been terminated. You gotta love it. These people, I mean, first and foremost, they're playing they're kind of playing Special Olympics brain gymnastics. And that's actually way too good for them. These people are just mental. They're mental midgets. They can't piece fact and just any logic into what they say. And the other part of it is they're so surrounded by yes people that just kind of lap up all the drivel that comes out of their mouth. And here they are. I mean, they honestly have no idea who they just attacked. So now they're coming after Elon Musk. They're coming after freedom. They're coming after freedom of speech. They're speaking out against the U.S. And so they're going to put Elon Musk on notice like that. Elon Musk, who, Trump is definitely, not a huge sympathizer of what the EU is doing. And so do they really think that after this whole, battle over tariffs and these countries paying, huge numbers in tariffs, they actually think that this whole debate that's going out on the public domain right now is actually going to somehow fall, with a victory on their side? They're going to chalk up a victory in this. It's going to be a net loss for them across the board. I mean, the idea that they think they can actually fight this out in the public space and show that they want to pull away and attack freedom of speech, not going to end well for them. Not at all. I mean, this is one more step down for the EU. One more
Never
reason.
interrupt your enemy when they're in the process of destroying themselves. They're shining bright light to everybody to see how they're so full of shit. And it's the greatest thing ever. I'm like, and don't mess with Elon Musk. Okay, I just right to tell you that doesn't, like you said. Orwell says Islam showed itself to be a political ideology, not a religion. 100%, man. 100% agree with that.
Probably that's right. The EU.
Oh wait,
will
what's
go
this?
after their bank accounts. But
Famous
now
Mark. Famous line. Yeah. Oh wait, what's this? Yeah. Let's fly the NATO flag, not.
Yeah.
And then Laura Loomer said this: Elon Musk just casually calling for the collapse of the West. It's going to collapse, man. I mean, we're in like an inflection point of where it's pretty serious, man. It is really at that point. Scott Bissett was on the morning shows, Jeff, and then I saw this. Scotty B is back. Look at this. This is fun.
President Trump is kicking ass, taking names, and making America great again. And what are the Democrats and the fake news doing? Whining all the time, like the weak, whiny little bitches that they are. Anyway, your show sucks, and you're terrible at your job, Margaret. I just came to tell you that in your face. Anyway, bye, bitches. Scotty B is out.
Scotty B is out. Scotty B. Scotty B is out. He will forever be known. Scotty B is out. Scotty B will be forever out. This is the greatest thing. Scotty B is out.
Scotty B.
Margaret, I just came to tell you that in your face. Anyway, bye, bitches. Scotty B is out.
Out. We got to get that. So we got to.
Oh my God.
We got to put that in the arsenal. Scotty B is out. Let's go ahead and add that to our library, Jeff. We have in your face, Yeah, you gotta love that. And just for some more fun, so these are some of 2025's compilations of fun things that happened over the course of the year. They're not all. There's a small one, but I like them.
The job differently than Kamala did it.
Any fans?
Well, I don't have 4 shots of vodka before every meeting.
And I have to tell you directly and personally that I regret voting for you for Secretary of State. I yield back.
May I respond?
You may sit.
Well, first of all, your regret for voting for me confirms I'm doing a good job.
You know what? We basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
And you're such a badass. Meet me off stage in 13 minutes and 50 seconds.
Our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
That's the best number. That should be just compilations of all those great things that were said over time, man.
Oh my
they're
goodness.
just they're so damn good. I mean, they're and like there has to be a lot more. So this is Emmer going off on Tim Walsh. This is a while ago, but it's good to note. We had Tom Emmer on the show. Jeff, there is smoke coming out of his ears in this thing, man. He is I've never seen somebody get punched so hard in the face with words, man. He's having none of it. I was expecting him to jump over that table and just, tackle his ass to the ground. But listen to this.
You signed the Health and Human Services Omnibus Bill into law in May of 2023. That bill expanded Minnesota Care to provide free health care to illegal aliens. You signed the Higher Education Omnibus Bill into law in May of 2023. That bill allows illegals to have their college tuition paid for by the state. You signed the Driver's License for All Act into law in March of 2023, and that bill allows illegals to receive driver's licenses. So, you claim you're not a sanctuary state. You just provide free health care, free college, and driver's licenses to illegal aliens. One reason you're here testifying before us today is because you refuse to cooperate with ICE. While states like Florida and Virginia empower their law enforcement to detain and remove criminal illegal aliens, you, sir, have done just the opposite. Your Attorney General is directing law enforcement to ignore ICE immigration detainers. Do you agree with the Attorney General's guidance?
Well, Congressman, it's good to see you again, and thank you for being here. First, I would say as my job as governor of Minnesota is to make Minnesota the best state in the nation.
Do you agree with the Attorney General's guidance?
Congressman, what I would say on this is that Minnesota follows all law. I would say
it's a very easy question. And again, if you claim you're not a sanctuary state, you just claim that you support policies. You're not a sanctuary state, but you support policies that prevent ICE from doing their job.
Congressman,
isn't that right?
That is incorrect, Congressman. We follow the same laws when you were in the Minnesota House. The law has not changed,
If you'll allow me, I've got limited time. Well, that's what you tweeted, by the way, sir. And on May 23rd, 2018, you tweeted, quote, "I support policies that keep law enforcement from enforcing federal laws," close quote. On May 17th, just this spring, at the University of Minnesota Law School's commencement ceremony, you said, quote, "Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets." When you said the words modern-day Gestapo, you were referring to ICE agents. Gestapo, by the way, sir, was the official secret police of Hitler's Nazi Germany. So you're calling ICE agents modern-day Nazis. Given the attacks on ICE agents that took place in Los Angeles over the weekend, don't you regard your dangerous inflammatory rhetoric as a problem?
The questions do you want me to answer first?
So, sir, it saddens me that you refuse to express regret from comparing ICE to Nazis. ICE agents are brave Americans who get up every morning, leave their families, and put their lives in harm's way to protect our country, sir. You, at the very least, owe an apology to these dedicated public servants. I will say, sir, inflammatory rhetoric such as yours and the other governors on this panel is responsible for putting a target on the back of every ICE agent who is risking their life to protect our communities. Minnesota is all too familiar, by the way, with the chaos that ensues when you refuse to work with law enforcement to enforce the law. In May 2020, looting, acts of violence, and arson occurred on your watch in Minneapolis after you refused to bring in the National Guard. Governor, your agenda is clear. Free health care, free college and driver's licenses for illegals while handcuffing law enforcement when they're trying to protect our citizens and their communities. If you think that's not a sanctuary state, you shouldn't be governor. By turning Minnesota into a magnet for illegals, you have opened up our communities to dangerous criminals, including known terrorists, gang members, murderers, and child predators. You have sent a resounding message that if you're a hard-working, law-abiding citizen of Minnesota, your safety and well-being are not the priorities of Tim Walz and his administration. But if you're coming to our state illegally, you're not only welcome with open arms, you're entitled to free stuff on the taxpayer's dime. This is absolutely disgraceful. Governor Walz, your sanctuary state agenda has been defined by your utter failure. You have failed to enforce the rule of law. You have failed to uphold our national sovereignty. And most importantly, you have failed the people of Minnesota. The time for radical sanctuary state policy, sir, is over. The voters made that clear last November when they elected President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. You remember him, don't you? Governor, the time for real leaders and real leadership is now.
So that was awesome, Jeff. What did you think about it? And that's his home state, by the way, so he knows it very intimately. And he just got to punch him right in the face on the record. You want to see Tim Walz? You want to hear his Christmas time right here, Jeff?
That was the Jeff like rant. Check that out.
Oh, dude, it was like epic. I hear it. Here's some of this.
What happened?
Someone wrote a Christmas carol about Tim Walz.
He's Tim Walz, the retarded governor of the year. He's effeminate prancing and his creepy face waves his hands like a queer. He's Tim Walz, the retarded governor of the year. Come on! He's the crappiest governor of them all. As Somalis invaded, corruption evaded, as Minnesota falls. He's Tim Walz, most retarded governor of them all. See you in jail, retard.
God.
Silly Beam team never disappoints. They never miss. And going back to London, Sadiq Khan, which you teased in the open, Jeff. This is Sadiq Khan at a Christmas lighting ceremony. Now, if you look at like around the world, they showed all the capitals around the world. They showed the Christmas like tree. The one is the most pathetic one I've ever seen in my life. I've seen bigger ones in small towns, Jeff. This is London, but you know, when you got a mayor like Sadiq Khan, you kind of know how it's going. But he was supposed to be singing along to this Christmas carol. Unfortunately, there are parts of it that had the word Christ in it. And he wasn't going anywhere there and wasn't going to sing the song. And he was like, we're looking around. He always looks around like, oh, am I lost? I don't know what I'm doing. This is only one small excerpt, by the way. Looks around, doesn't know what's going on. Then he's singing.
He looks so uncomfortable.
Glory to the newborn King, that's Christ, and he can't. Yeah. He's rolling up the paper, looking around, clapping. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What an ass. And Jeff, do you know what it sounds like? Do you know the sound in Dearborn at 5 a.m.? You know what it sounds like? It sounds like this.
Let's see.
Well, Ted Nugent had something to say about it. Just so you know what it is, Ted Nugent has a plan. Listen to this plan, Jeff. I think it's a good one.
I'm going down to Dearborn, and at 2 a.m., I'm going to get all the Fender amplifiers I can get. I'm going to get Hunter Brooks. Hunter Brooks, let's get a bunch of amps and play Wang Dang Sweet Poon Tang for all the Muslims in Dearborn because they start their prayer noise. You can't force people to pray. Maybe I should play Wang Dang Sweet Poon Tang for all the women that are covered up in tents because no freedom exists in the Muslim community. You got to cover the women's body up, only peek through the little slit in their tent. Bring it on. Come and debate the guitar player because I might pretend my face is a front loader and bulldoze your stupidity into a ditch. Somebody from the Michigan DNR, come on my show and explain the danger of sugar beets in the woods and where you think you have the authority to stop a free American to throw a sugar beet in the woods. I give it, take a deep breath, gather your thoughts, and I dare you to come on the Ted Nugent Real America Voice Spirit Campfire and attempt to make your case because you know you can't.
What's a sugar beet?
I don't know what the sugar beet is.
I kind of lost track when he was talking about throwing a sugar beet in the woods.
Please explain, Ted Nugent. Sugar beet.
Mark's saying deer bait.
Deer bait, yeah. That's what it is.
Deer bait.
For deer hunters, yeah. He's a deer hunter.
I get it now.
Yeah.
Yes. So they're saying they can't do that in Michigan.
Yeah, he's like, what's wrong with that? It's just really stupid. Deer loves sugar beets. Yeah, so we put those sugar things up. I don't know. They're not called sugar. I don't call them sugar beets, but they're sugar cube, large blocks, and then the deer come by and lick them.
Mm-hmm.
Sugar beets. There you go. So yeah, I like Ted Nugent's plan. You got to get down there with his giant amps at 2 a.m. and play Wang. What does he say? Sweet Poo Tang. I can't believe he'd be playing that. That'd be great, man. That would be a great. That would be an awesome tune for him to be playing. Can you imagine if he was doing that? God, that would be fantastic.
Salt blocks, exactly. Salt blocks. Yep.
Here's another dude from Europe. He's got something to say. This guy might be right. This guy is more like something maybe Sir John or somebody else from over in Europe would say.
It's a message from Europe. It's a message from Vienna. I was driving my car, listening to the news, and I'm stopping at a gas station because it made me so angry what I heard from our own political elites in Brussels, but also my own country in Austria. You know, say Trump, Musk shouldn't interfere in European business. While they are interfering in our business, they're raiding our homes day by day everywhere in Europe. They're censoring our speech. They're banning AfD politicians from running for mayor in their own country. These people are not speaking for Europe. They're not speaking for the majority of Europeans. I say this as an Austrian, as a European. Living in the European Union right now feels like living in an open-air prison. I myself have lost 96 bank accounts.
Oh.
I got a travel ban to Germany. My book readings are crushed just because I talk about remigration. And this is just a tiny example. Hundreds of thousands of people are being persecuted by this European Union, by our own political elites right now. This European Union doesn't represent us, and they need every day more repression, more demonization, and more censorship to keep their own people down. Right now, in France, in Germany, in Italy, in Austria, in Hungary, in countries like Spain, Poland, of course, you have a majority or like a very big group of the population who is more on the side of Musk and Trump when it comes to migration and freedom of speech than the Brussels elite. They want remigration, they want freedom of speech. And we, the Europeans, we want our nations and our country back. And it's so true what Trump said. It's so true what's in this document, the national security document of the USA. We have 20 years left, and in 20 years, this country, this nation, this city, Vienna, this continent will be lost. We are cooked in the city of Vienna. We're sent right here, right now. We have a majority.
Long thing, but anyway, he's spot on. Mark Smithson says the DNR banned baiting in the Lower Peninsula due to chronic wasting disease. Baiting in the UP is allowed. Yeah, the UP, shit, you got to drive your ass to get up to the UP. Upers. I've been by the way, my old neighbor in South Florida, a really good neighbor friend of ours. She's from the UP.
Yep. The UP.
From the Uper, from the UP. I was like, that's some Upper Peninsula, baby.
Way up.
That's way up there,
Forever
dude.
to
That's
get
like
up there. That's way.
a lot of snowfall. That's pretty much Canada, what I would call Canada.
At that point. Yeah.
But Gert Wilders has a good plan too. There's Gert Wilders.
Yes.
Wait a minute, sorry. Here's Jimmy Page.
We want 60,000 Syrian refugees in the Netherlands to return to Syria immediately. And we want, maybe one of the most important things, we want all criminal foreigners to be deported from the Netherlands.
There you go.
He can make it happen.
We want and we
happen.
are two different things. That's the problem with that. When you got to form a government and you got to, you know, it's just the only thing that ever gets done is one thing they all believe in, which is censorship. Everything else is like a hard road to get almost anything done because everything else takes some effort. And here's this woman here. I love this news program, by the way, over there in the UK. But she's had it, Jeff. She's had it up to here, and she goes off.
Them? All right, let's do this, shall we? Let's talk about your racism, shall we? Because I've had enough of hearing the word racist and racism. Because whenever you get a celebrity in a Prada dress and a Gucci handbag banging on about racism, they are the ones joining with a cultish, fascistic, censorial word being used to create a force field around people who really do horrible things. The word racist has become a tool of oppression by the elites to silence other people into not complaining about left-wing policies. The word racism is the same word that enabled Pakistani men to groom 250,000 white girls, dehumanize them, sexually assault them, abuse them, rape them, do some of the most awful things to innocent little girls that are imaginable. They knew they could hide behind this celebrated word of racism on the left. And so, do you know what I figured? Racism itself is racist. Let me break this down. I repeat, racism is racist. Let's talk about slavery, shall we? Because this is constantly used as the stick by which to bash the West. Things that happened 500 years ago, and yet there is slavery today, isn't there? Oh, there's plenty of it. It's thriving. Where are the complaints about that? Well, according to the Global Slavery Index, the countries where slavery is most prevalent are places like North Korea, Eritrea, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Tajikistan, United Arab Emirates, Afghanistan, Kuwait. Where is it least prevalent? Oh, look! Basically, the entire top 10 of countries that don't have slavery are Western, white, European countries. Switzerland, Norway, Germany, Netherlands, Sweden, Denmark, Belgium, Ireland, Finland. And, according to the same Global Slavery Index, do you know which country is doing the most to address slavery? The United Kingdom. So perhaps concern yourself with that before you start banging on about things that happened 5 years ago.
That's right. That's a good one. I like that.
She's on fire, man. She's about ready to spray bullets. Jeff. She was like, I just love some of the passion I'm seeing. You know, so what's happening, Jeff, is we're seeing people that are getting beyond pissed off, right? They're basically getting to a point of where they don't want to take it anymore. They've had everything they can possibly do. We teased this, so we got to play it, Jeff. This is JD Vance telling a fun story. She's serving 20 to 30
years.
News presenter. This is JD Vance telling a story. This is a good one.
Talk about Sly and all of his great accomplishments and why we're gathered here to celebrate him. But I want to first say, you know, people often ask me what it's like to be the Vice President of the United States. And a lot of it is exactly what you would expect it to look like if you watched on TV or just paid attention to the media. But sometimes you get these behind-the-scenes moments that I will never, ever forget for the rest of my life. So, for example, today, I'm in the Oval Office with the President of the United States and our great Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and we're talking about something really, really important. And the President kind of holds up his hand and says, no, hold on a second. There's something much more important. Shoes. And he peers over the Resolute desk and he says, Marco, JD, you guys have shitty shoes. we gotta get to better shoes. So he goes out and grabs a catalog. And there happens to be another politician in the room. I won't say who, and you'll find out why in a second. And he actually runs us through this incredible shoe catalog. And by the way, the president is gifting us with 4 pairs of shoes. And I think 4 pairs for Marco. And he's actually asking our size in the middle of this conversation. He's asking for our size so that he can make sure that we get the right shoes. And he asked this other politician, he said, I'm going to get you some shoes too. And so he says, Marco, what's your shoe size? And Marco's apparently an 11.5. He says, JD, what's your shoe size? My shoe size is 13. And he asked this politician, who I won't embarrass, what his shoe size is, and he says 7. President, he kind of leans back in his chair and says, you can tell a lot about a man by his shoe size. We won't ask the second lady for comment on that particular topic.
Oh my God.
Trump, there's probably so many of those Trump stories that you just don't get to hear because they're so damn funny. Was he talking about Marco Rubio's foot size? No, he wasn't. That was Marco was 11.5. So, and then this guy is rich right here. Look at this one.
From Somali immigrant. He's telling us what's what.
Somalians all over social media and MAGA. The team known as MAGA, Make America Great Again. Team Trump, they got humiliated. Let the fight continue. Keep fighting this way. Minnesota's ours. America's ours.
Well, there you have it. They've taken Minnesota, and they're going to take out the rest of America too. And you have got to admire the confidence, right? That is a lot of bravado, especially when you consider that none of that confidence or bravado helped them to take Somalia. And just a quick tip here, Sport. If you don't have what it takes to take out a couple of strung-out warlords, you do not want to dabble with rural America, because we got a lot of country boys and veterans that, quite frankly, they've been itching to get back into
it. Yep.
They've been itching to get back into it, man. Don't mess. Do not mess, man. You just do not want to go there. But
oh my God.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and let's roll the song, Jeff, and then we'll do the drawing. Guys, type in Yeti, YETI, if you want to go ahead and win a badass Yeti. We got 12 entries in here, guys. So Trump, the art of the great insult movie, great movie. It's great. Oh yeah, I saw this video a few days ago. Yeti. All right, we got 13 in there. Yes, Chad just got in there.
By the time this
14 got in there.
Have 18 by the time this song's over. Here we go.
Sharpen your steel, steady your breath, call forth your Yeti and your Shaman. Tonight, a warrior of Clan Askika walks into legend. Him in snows, the one who faced the frostborn herd. Claws ripped, storms tore, yet he stood laughing at the dying tide. Blood on the snow, fire in his bones. Clan Askika claimed the field as their throne. Hear the old winds howl his name, a white-tried warrior forged in pain. Yeti, 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 Clan Askika, peacefully the path. Yeti, 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 strike with the winter's wrath. When he charges, death clears him a path. Tear through their iron line. Feast on the fear they hide. Badass Yetis on the chase, on the chain. Brought to you by BadassFreeCoffee.com.
Animation. Mark says this sounds like Wang Dang Sweet Poo-Tang. Smithson, bringing the comedy, man.
Small shoe size Yeti.
Yeah, there was a Yeti sitting in there. That's the whole
It's
thing.
no shoes.
It's too funny, man. Too funny. All right, let's do it. Why don't we cue it up, Jeff? Let's cue the music and let's
Like
get ready.
Grooming Bill on this one will be epic.
We have 15 in there. We're ready to rock on this thing. Here we go with the Yeti up on screen, guys. Get ready. Jeff, your
Song
mission?
by Ted Nugent. That's
There
the
you
mission. We'll have to get something similar too.
Should you accept it? There we go, Yeti. We got 15 in there. There it goes. There it goes. There it goes. Get your wallet ready, people. Let's know you're here. Chad Nauseum wins. Chad.
Man, oh man.
It's that badass ass kicker right there. Chad, you here? Last time I saw Chad check in.
I don't know.
Oh, there he is right there. Just right there.
Yes.
He just typed in Yeti. He was 13 in there because we had 13, then we had Ozma was 14. Pokemon was 15. So he just got in. You look at that, guys. You see just the last minute entry, and boom, he pulls home the win. So Chad, give us your wallet. We might have Chad's wallet already. He's won
You already
before.
put it in there. It's already in there.
Oh my God, look at that. Damn, son. I have to start doing time in this shit because that was like incredibly fast. Wow, man.
I had to close YouTube because it messed up. So now I gotta go back
That was
to
insanely fast, Jeff. Wow. Holy cats. Holy cats. Well, I'll leave you with this guy. This guy is the I can never get enough of this dude here. He is the I'll tell you his name. Let me look here. Mossab Hassan Youssef talking at given the whole Palestinian narrative, and he is the son of one of the founders of Hamas.
I was born back in 1978. I was only 10 years old when the first Palestinian Intifada started. My father was one of the founders of Hamas. And my family taught me that I was Palestinian. But they never said why I was Palestinian. Like today, millions of people believe to be Palestinians as an ethnic group, but in reality, they are not. And we have tens of millions around the world who say free Palestine, while in reality, Palestine never existed, except as a colonial entity against the indigenous of the land. I'm not saying that there were no Arabs in that region, but for some reason, Arabs were allowed to take their caravans from every destination in Arabia with no political borders to come and profit from the British mandate of Palestine. But the Jews who had to go through the Holocaust and the ethnic cleansing on the hands of Ottoman Empire for approximately 400 years, then the ethnic cleansing in Europe, then the Holocaust, they did not have the right to take the boat and escape the hell of Nazism to come and find a safe place where they could survive. This is a crime. It's colonialism. But for all the Arab and Muslim invaders who came to profit, who did not have any connection to the land, that was legitimate. So I was supposed to believe that I am a Palestinian. But what makes a Palestinian, nobody has the answer. What makes the Palestinian different than the Egyptian or the Jordanian? It's not a human race. It's not a distinct language. It's not a religion. It is nothing but a violent ideology that was established as a hostile movement to annihilate the Jewish people from that land. The continuous Islamic, and I insist to say Islamic, attempt to kill the Jewish people. And that brings us to the ideological dimension that many of us are in denial. Why? Because we have 2 billion Muslims around the world and we don't want to piss them off. So most of us stick our head in the sand in denial. While it's in the Quran, it's in the Hadith, that it's an Islamic belief based on the Islamic most trusted sources, that the end times will not come and the Mahdi, that's the savior of the Muslims, will not return until the Muslims annihilate all the Jewish people, not only in Israel, but worldwide. This is not only human delusion. They have been acting on it. It's a legislation. Many out there believe that Allah gave them the authority to punish the Jewish people. First, Allah chose the Jewish people. It was His chosen ones. But for disobedience, Allah wanted to punish the Jewish people. And now the Muslims functioning as the sword of Allah on earth to punish the Jewish people and all the non-Muslims who don't submit to Islam. This is the Islamic law. And all those who try to sell the West a peaceful version of Islam, they are liars and they are lying. And their claim is baseless. Okay, this is too controversial, and I did not come here to say things about Islam, but this is very important to understand as a foundation of this conflict. Because if we really want to find a solution, then we need to understand the dimensions of the conflict. And the ideological dimension of this conflict is the most significant one, in my humble opinion.
I agree.
This is how I was conditioned. As a Muslim, then as a Palestinian, and I think both identities are false.
Interesting.
Guy knows his shit, doesn't he, Jeff?
It's really, it's the guy, he's spot on. He's lived it. You know, he's had so many debates around the world. And, you know, you just think about some of the things that he said. The debates are going in parallel lines also. Not even parallel, but there's no intersect between what this Islamic, world claims, especially with the Palestinian groups, or those that claim themselves to be, let's call them Palestinian Arabs. There was a specific number of them from the region. Now, like you said, that they've allowed anybody to lay claim to that. The nomadic people, there's so many that have somehow claimed this lineage, this history. And you don't have to go too far. You know, I like listening to what he has to say because he's lived it, he's researched it, he's outspoken about it, and he's not the only one, but you have to really start putting the ideology into the equation because there's a specific purpose and cause. The thing is, if we don't learn, from and understand what's happening there, how are we going to understand what's happening in Dearborn? How are we going to understand what's happening in Minnesota and Minneapolis? How are we going to understand what's happening in the UK? How are we going to understand what's happening in France or in Germany or in Italy or in Sweden? If you can't understand the smallest dynamic, which is with the whole concept of removing the Jews from this little sliver of land that is Israel, and the whole world, all the mindless people in the West that will jump in and follow them, so easily. They don't understand. And if you can't understand that, it explains exactly why states and countries are being taken over, why Dearborn is the way it is. It explains exactly why the UK is the way it is, and France is the way it is, and Italy, because they have no concept. They don't understand this ideological war that's being waged against them to get rid of them. And it is an ideological war. And you think about the size of Rhode Island, right? Israel. What do we say? There's 9-10 million people there. There's 2 to 2.5 million Arab citizens of Israel, and then here you have this little sliver, 2 billion Muslims in the world, the whole land of that region, all the Arab land that over the past how many centuries of conquest do they come in, and we look at what's been happening, and they want this little tiny sliver because it's the ideological concept of taking it over and removing the Jews and the Christians from that region. They remove Christians from Syria. They remove the Christians from Lebanon. They're removing the Christians from Northern Africa. Christians aren't really safe in most of those parts of the world. You think about Bethlehem and Jericho and all those areas that were predominantly Christian, that as soon as they were in the hands of the Palestinian Authority, it's not safe for Christians over there. And so, and that the stories that you hear out of Lebanon and talk, listen to like Bridget Gabriel. How about the Christians that had to flee from Iraq? And then you look at the history. Anywhere where this Arab horde, the Islamists have gone, they destroy the previous history. They remove all artifact, and this is what they want to do. And so, understand that, you'll understand exactly what's happening right now in Dearborn to a T. And we have to be very cautious of what's happening in Dearborn. Israel is willing to continue to fight back, and they fought a war just now. We saw it on all fronts after they lost 1,300 people, that were massacred at the hands of terrorists, and then they had to, live through thousands and thousands of missiles that were raining on their cities in Israel, coming from Iran and everywhere. But Iran paid the price. Syria paid the price. The terrorists in Gaza paid the price. But the problem, and this happens when we get into the Middle East, this would be an interesting topic to talk further, but Israel has always been forced to end the war at the point where they're destroying the enemy, right? So, and it happened in 48,
Always.
It happened in 67, happened in 56, happened in 1973, and we're seeing it happening again because where these the Gazan terrorists, they're still there. Hamas is still there. They're still getting funded from Qatar. Why isn't Qatar being held responsible for the terrorism? Iran is still there. When is Iran going to be held accountable for the movement of terrorists, around the world and fueling it? And then now we really have to worry about the terrorism that's coming out of the West. There are going to be more extremist terrorists coming out of the West than we're going to see coming out of the Middle East. And we've heard it from some of the Saudi royal family have talked about that, if you go to England and France and Italy and Germany, et cetera, the terrorists, the Islamism that's coming out of there is extreme. And we're going to see more coming from that region, as we probably will here too. So they've got to figure out what's going on with the Somalis in Minnesota. Got to figure out what's going on in Dearborn. We can't, but there's a lot to do, Chip. There's just
a lot to do. But you got to keep breaking it down, man. You got to keep. Remember, Jeff is not suicidal. Remember that. Everybody, they're self-deporting. Remember, Minneapolis mayor speaking Somalian is a national embarrassment. Oh yeah, that was too much. We had that. We also had the police chief as well saying that there. So I thought this was the best comment. It says, Chad said, if a call to prayer was wang dang sweet poo-tang, I might drag my ass out of bed at 5 a.m. That was fantastic. Free rock concert in Dearborn is what's needed. Ted Nugent for Dearborn mayor. Beer and bacon. There you go. Seriously? Removing Christians from London. Yeah, well, this is the whole thing. People think it's like, well, don't worry, it's just the Jews. Well, no. It's the Christian. It's everybody. It's just they have a hierarchy, right? They hate the Jews a little bit more than everybody else. Maybe this much, but the Christians are right up there. Christians are getting slaughtered. They're getting slaughtered by Islamic countries in Africa. So no, it doesn't really matter. They're just looking for the next one, and it'll be everyone. It's like the only ones that aren't going, and the biggest ones would be the Muslims that don't say anything because they don't want to get their ass kicked by the 2 million other Muslims, right. But they don't speak up because they'll get destroyed. That's
The world
exactly
gets
why.
destroyed.
Because if they speak up, they can't speak up. They got to take it. If they don't go hard jihad, then boom, they're gone. Off with their heads. That's how it works. Anyway, that's all the time we had. It was a lot of serious stuff tonight. A lot of stuff that needed to be unpacked. We will be back on Wednesday with our special guest. Put that up on the screen again, Jeff. Let's talk about that. And then we will get out of here, guys. So please join us. Get your questions in. Do some research on Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Cannot stand her.
Oh God.
Chip, Jeff, and Scotty B out. I'm gonna do that.
But here is Michael Carbonaro with us on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He is running for U.S. House of Representatives, Florida's 25th district, candidate for U.S. House, running against Debbie Wasserman Schultz. There most likely will be a primary. That's what it's looking like. So he's going to have a primary contender come next summer. And so that's going to be interesting. See if the other person stays in. If there's a primary, it'll be good for him because he'll get a lot of publicity out of it. And then onwards to Debbie Wasserman Schultz in November. Right. So that's going to be, she needs to go. He has an opportunity now. If he doesn't do it this time, he'll get really, really close. And then, the next time.
Well, first of all, they got to get those 100,000 voters, that dead people that are off the voter roll. That's the first
President Trump.
Right. Yep.
Anyway, bitches, Scotty B is out.
There you go. Scotty B's out. Later, bitches. Scotty B is out.
Bye, bitches. Scotty B is out.
Yeah, along with Jeff and Chip, we are also. Guess what, Jeff? We are also out. See you later, bitches. See you on the next one. Chip, Jeff, and Scotty B out. See you later.
Welcome to On the.
Jeff. I want to hear this one more time. Hang on a second. I got to hear this one more time.
In your face. Anyway, bye, bitches. Scotty B is out.
Along with Chip and Jeff. Out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.